Hi, Ashley. Oh, let me change it.
Go.
Hi, Julia. Can you hear us? Nope. Margaret, are you there?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm here. Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay.
Checking in with Julia. It looks
And
Yeah,
this is Julia.
Okay,
and I
hi.
can hear you.
Hi, Julia.
Hi.
What you hiding from?
Oh, nothing. I even had finished my dinner.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
Yeah, I know. Okay, how's that? Is that better?
Well, your ceiling looks very nice.
Well, okay.
There we go.
Try something new.
There she is. See,
How's
you're
that?
not
I
just in your pajamas. You can be online.
I can't see myself. I don't know why not.
And I'm a festival of various plaids because I'm so cold.
Julia, you probably have to scroll up or down on the little sidebar to see other people, yourself
No.
included.
Not with my iPad, I don't think.
No, you can do it with a touch screen.
Well, nothing's happening. You see me moving up and down?
Well, we can hear you.
You
Oh, wait a minute. Switch
need
camera.
teenagers like I have.
No, Julia, that's no good. There we go.
Am I on now?
Yes. You were
I
on
mean,
before.
can you see me?
Yes.
We can
Oh.
see you. You look good.
How do I look?
You look great.
You look
Okay.
happier now than you will a week from tonight.
All right.
Oh, don't talk about that, please.
Doug just entered. It looks like we have all of the tree board members here now. Cameron's going to be taking minutes, and I'm going to be doing the screen sharing and all of those things. So Margaret, I can take care of that while you're
Oh, now I did it. Okay.
meeting.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, it looks like we have all the members. Am I right? Yeah.
Well, no. We're missing a couple.
No, I think.
No,
well,
I think everyone's here.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. Okay, well, welcome everybody. So I'm calling the meeting to order at 7:03. And Mark Phillips graciously offered to present our short reflection tonight. So take it away, Mark.
Well, we'll see how graciously you think it is when you see what I got here. Share. Let's see, view and slideshow. Yeah, I guess you can see enough of that in the strip of people on the side cuts it off a little bit. So this is standing on my back deck, looking out down towards Perkins Way and into my neighbor's lot. And I've been fascinated for years now, looking at these two trees that looked an awful lot like they were joined by a branch. So sure enough, I went over and talked to I finally said, well, when I volunteered to do this, it came to mind that this might be something to share by way of a reflection. So I went over and talked to my neighbor and got a real close look up at it. And sure enough, that branch goes, starts to one tree and goes to the other. And I was wondering how common this is. I guess I'm really maybe picking Richard's mind and Bryn's mind and other people, Julia's about, or Ashley's too. Have you ever seen things like this, a condition like this, or any idea what might be going on between these two trees?
That's
I hope it's
amazing.
not X-rated.
Who said that? Who said that?
That
Julia?
was Julia.
Yeah, that figures. Okay.
the mark, it looks a little bit like it might be dead.
You think? I was wondering about that.
The bark
Um,
doesn't look normal on it. In which case it may be a lateral branch from the tree on the right that lodged against the tree on the left and ultimately got sort of grown around by the tree on the left if it somehow, but Doug, what do you think?
Well, I was just going to say that I've seen this a lot in roots. I mean, it's very common when two roots, particularly the same species, two roots will cross each other and they'll just grow into each other. But they're being held in place by the soil. This, like here, I don't have a better explanation, but it's hard to imagine why the branch on the one tree wouldn't just sort of bang away from the tree and
Yeah,
not get stuck.
It seemed like it would have to have contact in a very particular kind of way if it were to wear away at the bark enough to get embedded somehow, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm
I
guessing.
mean, I think we've all seen where fences have grown, trees have grown into fences. and sort of
Oh, yeah.
incorporated part of the fence, but again, that's when they're really being held firmly. It's not something that should be able to wave. So I'm sorry, actually, you were about to talk.
Oh, I was just gonna say, this is my idea of what's happening here is that branch is coming from the right and it's crossing over and it's laying in a branch collar, perhaps, of an old branch on the tree on the left. And so that's how it's able to maintain its position. And then there's probably some like included bark that's growing around that branch.
So you think the originator is the one on the right?
I mean, it's
I
hard to
think-
tell.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. So I guess I've heard of, trees sharing material and information through their root systems.
Right.
Mhm.
And I suppose other ways, but it sounds like you wouldn't bet much that there's anything being exchanged between those trees. If it's dead, of course, it's not going to be going on if it is in fact dead.
all of the other branches in that section of the tree on the right have long since died and been self-pruned.
Oh, yeah.
And this one hasn't. Maybe there's something going on there, but it may just be that it hasn't because it's being supported by the tree on the left somehow.
Yeah.
I don't see any sign of the branch going beyond the tree on the left,
Yeah.
which
No, it
would suggest
doesn't.
it's dead. But yeah,
No, and I got a close look at them. They actually hit right in the middle of the trunk on both trees.
Oh,
in the middle
wow.
of the trunk. Oh, it's not on the outside edge. Oh,
No, it's Well, anyway, that's all my reflection was. Isn't that amazing? And I guess it's whatever it is, you don't see it too often.
No,
Yeah.
that's very interesting.
Yeah, that's really cool. Thank you, Mark.
Right here in
And
Lake Forest Park.
It brings up a question that that I would ask you guys who have so much knowledge too is, do you think, like you were suggesting, Dick, that those trees self-pruned? Is that why the foliage, the branches start so high up, or have they been pruned up?
No, well, in some cases, people prune up their trees, but when you have a stand of trees, the branches that are lower on the tree and in the shade will eventually die and fall off.
Mhm.
That happens in urban neighborhoods as well as in natural forests.
Okay, so when I see trees that look like that, more have that kind of lollipop look, it's not necessarily that someone badly pruned it. It might have done that naturally. Huh?
Mhm.
and
Okay.
someone may also clean that up a little bit. Those breaks look awfully close to the trunk, so someone may have either trimmed them after they died or before they died.
And is there a percentage that is, when people are pruning them up, is there a percentage that they should not go over for the health of the tree or to keep it from blowing over? It doesn't really matter.
Doug, you may remember this. A long time ago, I saw a seminar, I think it was in forestry, in which somebody was talking about the physiology of Douglas fir trees. And in old Douglas fir trees, the lower limbs become essentially parasites on the rest of the tree.
Oh,
They-
really?
They obtain moisture and nutrients from the soil via the xylem, but the collar has gotten so constricted that the phloem connection has disintegrated. So that the branches, those big lower branches, will be producing sugars and photosynthesis and so on that they share in that branch only
Huh.
and not with the rest of the tree. while they are getting nutrients and water from the roots of the tree. So it's like each of those individual lower branches can be thought of as almost individual organisms that are parasitizing the main tree.
Wow.
That's actually something I did some research on
Oh,
about 20 or 30 years ago, on fir trees, silver fir. What you say may be true. They're not getting any nutrients from the tree. They're, as you say, water and well,
Yeah.
micronutrients, I guess, metallic nutrients, but they're not getting any sugar from the tree because I labeled, C14 labeled higher branches and then cut off the lower branches and analyzed them. And the high branches do not support the lower branches, at least as far as carbohydrates are concerned, which is
that
what
may have
you
been your research that I saw.
well, it could be sort of the opposite of what I concluded. But again, we don't really know about the, we have seen this in a lot of different situations that upper branches don't support lower branches. If the lower branches can't make it on their own, the lower branches are toast. The trees are not a socialistic society. It's everybody for himself.
Well, thank you. I learned something new from you all every time, so thank you. Okay, can we do some quick introductions? I guess I'll just call on folks in the order that I have you on my screen, in case we have visitors. I'm Margaret Cassidy. I'm the chair. I'm not a tree expert, but a tree lover and a homeowner, and I live in the Sheridan Heights neighborhood. Ashley, can you introduce yourself?
I'm Ashley Adams, the Lake Forest Park City Arborist.
Thanks. Dick, I've got you next on my screen.
I'm Dick Olmsted. I'm a member of the tree board and a longtime resident of Lake Forest Park and a botanist by training.
And then I have Mark.
Yeah, Mark Phillips. I'm a member of the city council, at least for the next 2 months. And I'm the council's liaison to the tree board.
Thanks. And Julia.
My name is Julia Bent. I've lived in Lake Forest Park for 10 years, and I'm the longest lasting member of the tree board at this point.
Thank you for sticking with it. And I have Doug on my screen next.
I'm Doug Sprugel. I'm retired forest ecologist at UW. Been living in Lake Forest Park for about 5 years. And my cat would like to be introduced too. This is Gromit.
So cute. And I have Bryn next. You're still muted, Bryn, sorry. Still can't hear you, Bryn. There
we
you
go.
are.
That's better. I'm Bryn Holmesy, the newest member, the green one here, a former university lecturer in the history of landscape design. Worked a lot in horticulture with various colleges and universities, and do some work with design, but not a lot. And let's see, new member, and very happy to be here working with all of you. I love trees, so there you go.
Thanks, Bryn. And then I've got Marty, last but not least.
There's the,
Hi, I'm Marty Byrne. I live in North Lake Forest Park, a very long time member of the city and a relatively new member to the tree board.
Thank you. And our other, let's see, we got all our members, so our other folks are visitors or guests. Let's see, we need to approve tonight's agenda. Can I have a motion to approve it, please?
I move we approve the agenda.
Okay, and that was Dick, and a second.
I'll second.
Okay.
Julia.
We'll get you for the next thing, Doug. Okay, that was Julia seconding. Thank you. And we don't have minutes for our last couple of meetings yet. So we'll send those out as soon as we have them. Do we have any citizen comments that our guests would like to share? Let's see, I saw a hand go up and then it disappeared.
This is Julian. I'd be willing to say a couple things.
Okay, hi, Julian.
Hi, Margaret. First thing is, it's a pleasure to see the tree board functioning so well. You're busy, you're doing lots of different things. And one item that I think has fallen off your hottest burners is the amendments to the municipal code, the tree code in the municipal code. The committee, as you're certainly aware, created some proposed amendments that were proposed and presented to the council last December, but there's been no action by the council since. So I would think you need to kind of renew that proposal to the council, maybe after the new council is in place. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I see that that's one of our things, one of our tasks on our work plan. So it's still on there, but you're right, we haven't done anything about it recently. So we'll talk about that tonight for the 2022 work plan. Thanks, Julian. And you're from the Stewardship Foundation, right?
Unmuted again. Yes, I'm a member
Okay.
of the board of the Lake Forest Park Stewardship Foundation. I usually, if I audit your meetings, then I make a brief report back to the board of the Stewardship Foundation.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
And I carry messages. If there's any messages to carry, I'll be glad to assist.
Okay, thank you. And I know I've had some back and forth emails with, I think, you and a couple of the other officers in hopes that eventually we can all connect and talk about how we can work together more.
Yeah, joint scheduling is the hardest thing to do
Yeah.
in the world, I think.
Yeah. Okay, do we have any other citizen comments?
Mike D has his hand up.
Mike D, did you have a comment? I don't see.
Yeah, I
one.
had a quick, yes, howdy, Mike D here with the Lake Forest Park Citizens Commission. I just had
Hi.
a quick comment. I wanted to thank you all for having the Sound Transit 3 project stuff on your agenda tonight. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, meeting dates. The next meeting is going to be on Wednesday, December 1st. So Cameron, I'm sure we'll be sending out stuff for that. You can RSVP. Luckily, that's not getting into the holidays too much. Under communication, I just wanted to say really quickly, my welcome to Bryn as our newest member. And we still, yeah, it took a while, but Bryn finally got officially confirmed by the city council. And as I understand, we still have one open position. So I'm wondering really quickly if there's something that jumps out for you guys as a skill or experience that we should have our radar out for in another member. Is there some expertise or anything that you think we could make use of? Well, if you think of something, why don't we share it? Because then we can kind of, focus. We can, oh, yeah, Bryn.
It would be great to have an arborist, a full-time arborist. That would be terrific.
Yeah, I wish Ashley could be full-time. I don't know if Ashley wishes that, but for the board, we have one more board position open. So
I thought that was what Bryn was suggesting, that if we had an actual professional arborist as a board member. that would be really
oh,
nice.
I see what you mean. Oh, I'm sorry, I misunderstood. Yeah,
Okay, here's some history on that. Earlier on, we did have a full-time arborist who joined the board. Didn't actually live in Lake Forest Park. He lived in Briar.
oh, okay.
And he was with us for maybe a year, and then he just disappeared. He just resigned and was gone, and I never learned why or anything. But that we had that person. His name was Tom. I don't remember any more than that.
Was it helpful to have him on board?
At that point, not really.
Okay. What were you going to say, Bryn?
All I was going to say is maybe we could find a retired one who doesn't have a conflict of interest.
Yeah.
And
Well, I think-
just someone who knows that type of thing and can, because all of us, we've got a botanist, a landscape historian, I mean, scientists, it just would kind of flesh it out,
Mhm. Yeah, and we don't always get to have Ashley with us at our meetings, so that would be helpful.
Yeah, when we did this before, he was the only person who applied. The only arborist
okay.
who applied. There
Okay.
wasn't much interest in it. And he was retired.
Okay. So I'm going to hand it over to Ashley, right? Ashley, you were going to be the one to talk about this, an update on Sound Transit 3 project.
Yeah, so I'm happy to give you guys just a little summary of what I know in regards to the trees for the Sound Transit project. So we have been in communication with people at Sound Transit about they gave us a draft arborist report to give us an idea of what trees, the number of trees that are out there in the the proposed work area, kind of a summary of how many trees they're thinking about removing, how many they're going to protect in place, some that are not impacted, and then a general idea of what that's going to look like. But I will say that it's very it's a rough draft because there's still a number of trees that there were some properties that they weren't able to access. So there's still a number of trees that have not been accounted for. And so I've gone back to them and said, we need to find out, we need to know all of the trees so that we can, evaluate the proposal. And their current civil plans are only at 30%. So I won't do any field verification until they get those to at least 60%. I don't know when that's going to be, but we did meet with them. We had a virtual meeting at the end of September with people at Sound Transit, and then also David Evans. I believe that they've hired people from that consulting firm to help do the work for them. And so most of our meeting was getting everyone on the same path as far as what the processes would be for requesting removal of trees or protection of trees or whatever it is that they, making sure they understand what our permit process is, because it's a little confusing, especially since some of the trees are going to be in the right of way. Some of the trees are on private property. Some of them are going to be on property that will be dedicated as right of way, but is currently private. And I don't, at this point, I don't know all the details of that. There's also going to be some temporary construction easements. So it's a little more complex than our normal tree removal process. So Steve and I met with them to discuss, what it would look like, what we need from them as far as the arborist report. And so they are going to go back and continue to collect the data and make sure that when the proposal comes in, that we have all the information we would need to evaluate it properly and see if it meets our code. I have a summary that they gave us, and based on what they've gathered so far, they're proposing removal of 272 trees, protecting 183, 38 of them won't be impacted. So for a total of 493 trees that they evaluated. Like I said, they still have more trees to evaluate. According to the arborist who collected the data and produced the report, there are no exceptional trees. I have not done any field work or verified any of this information. So I don't know whether or not, what the validity of that is, but I'm guessing that he's done his due diligence, but there will be a period of, peer review and field verification. Just seeing if there's anything else I wanted to tell you guys.
So actually, are they expected to follow our tree code?
Yes.
But our tree code sort of says that if you, in your yard, if you take a tree out, you need to replace it. But if you take a tree out and replace it with a lane of pavement, you can't exactly do that. What sort of mitigation
So,
do you have in mind, or?
yes,
Never
so
mind.
they're gonna have to do a land, as far as I know, and I am not the planner response, so I don't know all of the details of this. So I'm giving you the information that I, heard through our meeting, but from what I understand, they're gonna have to do an entire landscaping plan. And within that plan, there should be or will be trees that are going to be proposed to be replanted. And so I think what we're going to do is look at that landscaping plan and see, what trees are going to be proposed for replanting in comparison to the number of trees that are going to be removed, and go off of that to make sure that they're including or replanting properly. Currently, our code doesn't have any mention of right-of-way trees. So there's nothing that regulates what the replacement requirement is in right-of-way. Our code talks about trees on private property based on, canopy coverage, and that there's, certain canopy coverage requirements for different size properties. So the right-of-way tree removal is a little less defined as far as what the replacement requirement is. I'm not sure if that answers your question or if you have additional.
The situation is just so different from a private property owner taking a tree down that I suspect our code is not really written with that in mind, which is what I think you've been saying.
Yeah,
So we'll just have to try to make the best we can and make the.
Yes, it's not going to be cut and dry, but they do have to abide by what our code says. I think it's those areas where they don't talk about replacement in right-of-ways, and we have to talk about what if a tree is being removed on a private property, but then that's being dedicated as right-of-way. What does that look like as far as replacement goes? So we're still, we're in conversation, and Steve and I are talking about it in more depth. And it's a new process for me and for him. So it's a work in process, but we're going to make sure that replacement is appropriate.
Well, one thing I was thinking of is,
Mm-hmm.
obviously they can't, in many places, they're not going to be able to replace trees where they're taking them down. Could we perhaps ask them to plant trees along our median strips or along our sidewalk planting strips, plant them somewhere else?
Yeah, I think that's another thing we're looking at is offsite replacement and whether or not that would be more appropriate for some locations. And I believe that there is something in our code to allow that. I need to look a little more deeply at that and make sure that that's the case. But yes, I think that is a potential pathway for some of the tree removals where it doesn't make sense to replant.
So Ashley, when you were talking about when it gets to the plans get to 60%, you'd have more detail then. Is that at that point, is it too late for citizens to request design modifications?
No.
Okay. I ask because like I think I was talking with you about, I ended up on the mailing list for a group called Save Shoreline Trees.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like it kind of formed after the fact in response to a sound transit project in Shoreline where they cut down, I don't remember how many, but a big number of really substantial trees in order to make an extremely wide sidewalk as part of sound transit. I mean, it's like 10 or 12 feet wide. So, they were strictly following the code to the letter of sidewalk width at that point. But now these citizens are saying for future projects, can we look at possible modifications? So I don't want us to be like that. And after things are done, then say, oh, we could have asked for changes.
Yeah, I imagine I wouldn't see why there wouldn't be a public comment period for this project. That would, if you want to know what that looks like, I would say talk to Steve or to Nick. They probably have more information.
Okay.
Because I don't know the planning side of things, what that public comment process would
Okay.
look like, but there will definitely be some, and 60% plans are just, so the process would be that they have to apply for the permits. So they would have to apply for all of the permits that they would need. And then there's a review period. So they can apply to remove all these trees. Doesn't mean we're going to grant that.
Mhm.
That's where I would come in and review it and see if it, fits in with our code and what that would look like. And typically with large projects like this, there's kind of a back and forth between me reviewing or other people reviewing the permits and then giving them comments to say, hey, this doesn't meet our code. You need to change this, or can you clarify this? And, there's probably going to be a few iterations of that.
Okay.
They aren't really going to have a whole lot of options in many cases. I mean, if you're adding a lane
Yeah.
side of the road that's there, you have to take out the trees because it's
Yeah.
dangerous to have cars driving.
Mhm.
Right.
There are trees in the
Right.
lane road.
Yeah.
And so
I would say the only thing that's really, I mean, if there are any exceptional trees, I think that would be the main thing that would, in our code that says, oh, you can't remove this tree, but, they may be able to go and do reasonable use and get a reasonable use exception if that's the
Mhm.
case, but it doesn't sound like there are any exceptional trees currently. So,
Okay.
yeah, I think the important part is making sure that we, if these trees do have to come down, making sure that we are getting adequate replacement and ensuring that those trees that they do replace are surviving and thriving.
Yeah. Bryn, you had a question or a comment?
Yeah, excuse me, Ashley. Yeah, I seem to remember that the code was changed in regards to this proposed parking garage at Town Center. Couldn't the council revise our code so that the removal of so many trees, to limit this removal of trees? Couldn't that happen?
I'm not sure about,
Theoretically it could, but Sound Transit's probably what is considered a necessary utility that has certain precedence over local jurisdictions laws in terms of projects like that.
Mhm.
Bryn, the city ordinance, several city ordinances were changed regarding the parking garage. The tree ordinance was not. But I don't think you meant to imply that, but wouldn't another way to mitigate also be the tree fund? I wonder if that came up, Ashley, in your discussion with Steve.
Yes, I think that would be a last resort. Just because, we want to get canopy replacement as much as possible. But that could be an option as well.
Yeah, right.
It could
But
give us.
we don't want it to be a situation where they take out 250 trees and then just pay us a lump sum of money. We want to make sure that we're getting replacement as much as possible.
Dick, did you have a comment?
Just that, mitigation funds that we could use to support plantings in Lake Forest Park could be one way to distribute the mitigation in ways that would, be helpful and not have to constrain the development.
Mm-hmm.
You mean having them plant trees elsewhere within the city?
Have us plant trees elsewhere in the city.
Oh.
They give us the money to
I see.
buy and develop, make the plan to do it.
Mhm.
That might actually be the most, sorry, Mark. That might actually be the most practical thing to do, rather than have them say, oh, we want to plant a tree over here on 178th Street.
Yeah,
Let us, Ashley and us, look and
Make-
say, where would be nice if we have more trees?
Yeah,
And I think probably they would be happier with that.
yes.
We'll probably end up with a better result.
Mhm. Yes, I agree.
so this initial really early plan that you have, is that something that can be shared, or is that just for your eyes only at this point?
I mean, if someone wants to do a public records request, I'm sure that they could get it if they wanted to see it. It came to me through my email, so I don't really know. It hasn't been submitted for review at this point, meaning that they haven't applied for any permits or anything like that, but it is.
Okay. I don't know, Mike D just put something in a link in the chat, but I can't see what it is yet.
Yeah.
Okay. Does it, at this point, so at least it sounds like we're early on. I just was nervous about, tree removal happening to us like it happened to Shoreline, with everyone kind of noticing afterwards, like, they took down all these trees and we didn't get in on the ground floor to figure it out how to make the best situation. Okay. And
Hold on. So Mike D is putting in the chat that there's already been some form of public input process, according to something that he saw. So I would think that it would be good. Since there's interest here, this would be a good thing to specifically research and really understand what future steps of public hearings, public meetings are regarding that project. And that's something that Steve should be able to tell you, maybe Nick even.
Mhm.
And I think that maybe, would be a nice thing to send out to tree board members in a note or something.
Mhm.
Yeah.
If it-
maybe we could have that on the next agenda too.
I suppose it could wait till then, yeah.
Yes.
And we should probably also recognize that we've talked about at some point modifying the tree board regulations. We could modify the ones that apply to this at some point. If that seems like an appropriate way to go. I'm not sure it would be an appropriate way to go, but if we can modify it to change the number of square feet of canopy you've got to put in to replace a tree in your yard, we can change it to modify where you put in trees if you put in an extra lane of traffic. But we also have to make sure that we can also say whatever we want to with these things, as I think Mark was saying, are probably kind of overtaken by like an eminent domain kind of thing that, that they can ultimately override our rules.
Mhm. Well, is it okay if we put that on the agenda for next month too, to just kind of keep, maybe every month, to just keep track of what stage it's at?
Sounds good to me. I
Okay,
will,
thanks.
I will check in with Steve too about what he knows about the public process or, hearings and meetings, what
Yeah.
it might look like. And
Okay, thanks.
Mhm.
Okay, any last comments for the moment on the Sound Transit? Okay, was this, Cameron, was this next item from you, new finance policy?
Yeah.
Okay,
So
Take it
I wanted to notify the board that they're moving forward. There's going to be a new finance policy. I received an email from Lindsay Vaughn. She's the finance director. And she sent me 2 new forms that the city has set up for any charges related to city business. So if you'd like to have any sort of transaction be covered by the city under the tree fund, you will need to contact me beforehand to get approval from either Steve Bennett or Steve Bennett's, he's the planning director, or someone above him, such as the mayor or Phil, who is our city administrator, or the council. It just depends on the dollar amount, and I don't have a specific dollar threshold yet. I'm supposed to meet with Steve and I believe Lindsay to have a specific to make a determination on the specific threshold of what Steve can approve and what he can approve. From what I've heard in the past, it's around $200, but that's not city policy per se right now. That's just more or less hearsay. But I just wanted to provide an update on that.
Okay, any questions about that? My cat has a question about it. Okay, so let's see, old business. So the farmer's market, our booth at the farmer's market in October, I wanted to thank Ashley, Dick, Marty, and Bryn for all being there and helping out. I thought it was pretty fun, and we had a good turnout. So we had yard waste bags that we gave away to anyone who wanted them, with information attached about removing ivy and encouraging them to do so and explaining the best ways to do it. And then we also had these Douglas fir tree seedlings. Big thank you to Mark Phillips for going all the way to Tumwater and picking those up for us and saving me the drive when my foot was in a boot. So we ended up.
I was on my
giving
way
out-
somewhere else, so it worked out fine.
Just take the credit, Mark.
Yeah.
I appreciated it. So we gave out about 50 of the yard waste bags in hopes that 50 of those 50 people are perhaps pulling out ivy. And out of the 140 seedlings we got, we gave away 80. That was in large thanks to Dick, who was quite the salesman, reeling people in for their seedlings at the market. And it seemed like the people had seen the notices from the city and that I put on social media about the Ask the Arborist opportunity, because Ashley had a lot of people coming with questions and photos. So I felt like it was worthwhile.
Yeah.
I think that it was a really great event, Margaret, and I just want to say thank you for coming up with it and making it happen. Yeah, we were there for probably 4.5 hours. Well, 4 hours. The market was 4 hours, and I would say that, I mean, there was very little downtime at all. With the 4 of us that were there, there were lots of people stopping by and asking questions. So thank you for that, Margaret.
Yeah, yeah. And what did you, just for out of curiosity or for everyone's info, what did you feel like was the was there kind of an overriding theme of the questions that you got?
I don't think there was. I think it was just a lot of people asking questions about specific trees on their property and like, what's wrong with my tree? Or, you know, what kind of tree is this? I don't think there was, yeah, I would say that was the majority of the questions that I got anyway.
I thought that was really nice because people are always balking at how much it costs to hire an arborist. So they got to ask you for, you know, they got a few minutes of your time for free for some good advice. Yeah, I really appreciated you being there, Ashley. I'm glad that the city could spring for some hours of your time for us. That was helpful.
No problem.
Let's see. Oh, so we had about 60 extra seedlings that we paid for. And the Stewardship Foundation was interested in them, but they needed to be potted up pretty quickly. And it didn't sound like they were going to be able to use all of them. So what I ended up doing with the extras that I hope has a good payoff, that they have a continuing life, the city's water district, I talked to them. They have a free, like a plant exchange program with native plants for Lake Forest Park residents, and they were really excited to get them. The guy was able to pot them up right away. And so now the Stewardship Foundation knows, and any citizens can go there and get one of these babies that we had left over. But we'll know next time if we do this event again. We don't need that many, and maybe we could look into getting a smaller tree or a native plant, because a lot of people, despite Dick's good salesmanship, a lot of people didn't want to plant a giant Doug fir in their yard. So.
That was a lot of fun, Margaret. I would say thank you also. And I enjoyed talking with people, met some, neighbors and community members. But it seemed to me that was the minimum order, wasn't it, for those?
It was,
That they come in lots, so you don't have much choice. you know,
yeah,
But the
yeah.
price was really cheap, so.
Yeah, it was less than $200 for all those seedlings. And our next item is the Ivy Out Challenge. So I just honestly I haven't put much energy into that. Beyond these bags to hand out. Yeah, I don't really know what, I don't have anything else in my plan on my to-do list to do about that besides continued publicity to people about why it's important. Yeah, I don't know if anyone, well, we can talk about that with the work plan, but I can just keep putting periodic publicity out about the importance and why, how to do it. But it didn't really, I had high hopes of it becoming, this viral LFP Ivy Out, people posting pictures with their giant pile of ivy. And if you look up that hashtag, the only thing you find is a picture of me with ivy. So. So that's kind of on my back burner at this point, unless someone wants to take it on and really promote the Ivy Out right now. Julia, are you up for giving us a brief update on anything going on with the McAleer Creek project? Well, I'm going to holler at my husband to feed the cat.
Yeah. I actually met with the applied ecology coordinator yesterday on site, and we had been planning to start planning in December, but she said, really, we don't need to go until I'm getting hit in the face by my cat's tail. We don't really have to go until January, so that's what we're going to do. I have an orders in at both Storm Lake Nursery or Storm Lake Growers and Fourth Corner Nursery for a variety of plants. And that's what we were going over, is what to put where. I've divided the area into 12 sections. And I'm still in the process. I need to revise what I came up with after looking at it with Malia yesterday. But one issue that's come up that I've been aware of for a while is that there are deer down there and there are mountain beaver. And, we really need to consider what we're going to do for keeping these plants alive. And basically we're looking at fencing of some sort. And ideally we would put in what is essentially hog wire. It's a 2x4 rectangular, probably 3 or 4 feet tall, around at least the big trees. I've ordered 12 substantial cedars, some of which are in 7-gallon tubs for a couple of choice places where we want to put those. And, based on my experience in my forest, the little ones, and I've got about 40 small cedars to go in, they need protection too, particularly from the mountain beaver. Those can be done with chicken wire until they get a little bigger. But I was wondering if the tree board would like to have a party in my garage, making little structures to encircle these trees. And we could do that in early January after all the craziness of the season is done. We don't have to make that many, but I've made a bunch for myself in my forest, and it's pretty tedious when there's just one person doing it, but we could serve hot chocolate and bring warm clothes and see if we could fix it up in my garage and get some of these things made. Otherwise, I can pay to have Applied Ecology do it, but that seems like sort of a senseless use of our budget with them, because we're counting on them to do removal and planting, not to make these little structures, these little wire protection zones. So If you could just email me, let me know if you're at all interested. I mean, we're not going to do it all day. It'll just be for a couple hours. But that would be really helpful. That would solve a huge problem for me. So I'm trying to figure out how are we going to protect. Some of these are, relatively expensive trees, the bigger ones. I feel it's important to have a couple of bigger ones in there so that the general public can see some progress, because it looks pretty small and it's inconspicuous when it starts. So let me know if you'd be willing to help out. Again, we're hoping to plant, the second or third week in January. So we'd do it in, say, the first week. And then the other thing is that I have had 5 signs made up. I did 5 because I wanted a couple of spares. And I've put them up along Perkins Way, along where the project is. So I would like you all to, if you get a chance, to drive by and take a look. I've had 1 up for a while, but I put up 2 more yesterday. And just, give me any feedback on those. I'm doing that in part to credit King County Waterworks. They like that. And they are credited on the sign. So that's pretty much the update. But I've had one tree board member tell me it looks pretty good over there. So we're going to go in and do some planting. I'm going to have Applied Ecology do it. It's just much more efficient, and they know how to plant trees, and volunteers don't necessarily do as good a job. So that's the plan. So let me know if you can help out with these wire exclosures, and we'll go from there.
Thanks, Julia. Maybe I can communicate with you about some dates that would work for you, and then I could send out an email to everyone and see who could go to who we could get on which date.
Yeah, as we get closer. I mean, it's 2 months away, so I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing in 2 months. So
yeah, I don't either. But I can already say I'll bring cookies. So
okay. Yeah, I'll provide beer. How's that?
Sounds good. Okay, thank you for all your work on that.
Yeah.
Okay, the tree inventory. Ashley, you can talk to us about the first steps we need to take on that.
Yes, I'm not sure I need your help on this first part, but I think what Steve and I met today and talked a little bit more about what the timeline would be for doing the tree inventory. And right now my plan is to draft a proposal, to take the proposal that was prepared last year by tree board members, and then, look at it, revise it, kind of get it in line to give the proposal along with a budget proposal to council and present that at a council meeting in December. So that right now is my plan. So I'll be working on that during the month of November. And I think that if we can get approval to use funds by January, then we can start moving forward with it in February. So that's all I know right now. Unless you have any specific questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Well, at our last meeting, we talked about, there was the idea floated of the city hiring a consultant or to head it up if you don't have enough time, or the idea of you being paid for more time so you could head it up.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on that?
We're probably gonna, I'm gonna draft up, sorry, I'm a little sleepy this evening. I didn't.
It's okay. I'm too.
I'm not forming my sentences as well as I'd like, but I am going to draft up 2 different, basically give them options. Like, here's an option if we were to send out an RFP and RFQ and hire an outside consultant to do the work. And this is what it would look like. This is how much it would cost. And then give them another option that if we just upped my hours and I ran it and we hired interns, this is what it would look like. This is how much it would cost, so that they have, they can see, the difference between the 2 and decide what the best method would be and best use of city funding.
Well, I love the idea of, I'm biased, but you already know our city and how this has been done before. And I like setting the precedent of, the value of the city giving you more hours too.
Mhm. Mhm. I
Someone
agree.
puts, Jessica Fordner said in the comments, is there an urban forestry master plan separate from Parks and Rec that the inventory will complement?
Well, we have our community forest management plan.
And I think that plan recommends doing this, right?
Yes, and then we also have the LiDAR canopy coverage assessment that took place 2 years ago, I believe. So I think we're trying to do this inventory to match up with that canopy assessment, the LiDAR information, so that we can kind of, use them together and compare them or supplement.
That's my understanding from
Mhm.
when we were talking endlessly about the LiDAR thing
Mhm.
before.
Yeah.
Ashley, did you see the applicants we had last year for interns? Did you see the?
I did not.
I'll
I will
forward
not
you that.
click on that.
We got some amazingly good applicants. Those people won't be available again next year. It's an
We-
example of the kind of people we might be able to get as interns. There were
Yeah.
2 or 3 of them that looked like, if they'd sat down as freshmen and said, okay, what coursework do I want to take if I want to run the Lake Forest Parks tree survey when I'm a junior?
Yeah.
I would have done.
Yeah.
So I'll pass on a few of them.
Okay. That'd be great. I could probably hunt them down too in our company files. I
know where they are.
Lauren was still on doing that. So I have not looked at him yet.
Yeah, it seems like it would be great for those students if they were interested to, instead of us having to start from scratch, and to give them a chance at an interesting internship too.
Mhm.
It'd be nice to reach back out to them. Okay, so you said, just to reiterate, you said you'll put these 2 proposals to the council in December.
Yes, I want to do
Okay.
the first council meeting, which I believe I wrote it down. I think it's December 9th.
So then hopefully things could get going either way in January.
Yes, hopefully. I mean, I don't know if they would approve anything on that day, on the 9th. But hopefully by, the 1st of January, mid-January, we would know for sure,
I'm not sure, I'm not clear, I guess, myself, what council needs to have anything to say about this.
So if we're gonna be proposing to use tree fund money,
Yeah,
we have to get buy-off by city council and the mayor.
I understand the mayor part of it, I think, but you're probably right. In fact, I looked at that recently, but I didn't come away with that impression.
So that's what I heard from Steve. That's what.
Yeah, okay, well, it certainly wouldn't be the dollar amount, because it's going to be a fairly small amount that wouldn't require any kind of council action.
Okay, I'm not sure. Yeah,
Well,
I guess I'll just check in with Steve, because that was my understanding that that's what needs to happen in order to get approval.
So if the process can get started in January, or maybe not then, maybe not till February, I know there was does that give us, is that enough time to get started for having it done this summer?
I think so.
Okay.
I did a timeline based on doing the, just a rough draft of a timeline based on doing field work in the summer. As far as, when we need to contact homeowners, the plots have already been chosen because we would be redoing what Mike Woodbury did 10 years ago. But then contacting homeowners and making sure that we have their permission, hiring whoever we need to hire, or if it becomes an RFP or RFQ, sending that out. And so I think that should give us plenty of time to get that going, to have people on the ground in, mid-June when school's out.
Great. Okay, good. Thank you. Does anyone have any other comments or questions about these first steps for Ashley? Looking for hands. Okay. So the next item we have on the agenda is the work plan. Are you able to share that, Ashley or Cameron, or do you guys have it in front of you?
I have it. Let me just find it.
I was being old fashioned. I've got mine printed out.
One second. Where'd it go? Share screen.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
Oh, no problem. I have it up and ready. I just
Okay.
need to. Do you see it?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, perfect. Yeah.
there we go.
So yeah, I just need you to make it a lot bigger.
How's that?
There we go. That's good.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm gonna move you guys. Okay. So I was hoping, like I said in my email today, I was hoping that you guys all had a chance to look back over this. I know we talked about it a little bit a few months ago, but we apparently are supposed to get it done now for get next year's plan done now. So and we've got Marty and Bryn added to our crew now, so they can pop their names into different things. So I just am wondering what you all thought about these items in terms of moving them over to next year. And if you want to keep your name on things or add anything, or if your name is on something that you don't have the bandwidth to do next year, maybe we should just go through item by item. I'll try and kind of whip through, but the first thing was reviewing the web content, which Dick and I were going to do.
Yeah.
We haven't really gotten around
On
to
that,
it.
Margaret?
What was that?
Do we really want these 325%? That's even higher on the thing, because looking at the amount of time we have on the 4 different things, there's like 1,000 hours for advise the mayor, 60 hours on tree planting, a couple hundred hours on public outreach, and
Yeah,
about 30 hours on engage the mayor. So maybe it's not really 25, 25, 25, 25.
yeah. I wonder if, Ashley or Mark or Cameron, do we even have to have the hour estimate in there? Does that, or are we really supposed to be aiming for this goal of 25% on each of those 4 areas?
Yeah, I don't recall the thinking that went into that breakdown. It would have been it would have been tree board's assessment. I think of that. It's probably within the last couple of years. I don't know. Cameron.
My memory is that the tree board did decide the 25, 25, 25, 25, or whatever, did decide how to apportion it, but we apportioned it very, very differently. It was not, I don't know where this 25% for each 4 came from, because that is unlike, as my recollection is that it's unlike what we did before. We had much less for the 4th one.
Yeah.
And more for, and not a whole lot for 3 either.
Yeah,
So most of the percentages went into 1 and 2.
I was
before.
thinking the
I
same
don't
thing.
remember what they were. So this 25% is, I was looking at that this afternoon going, that doesn't bear any resemblance to the way it used to be.
Mhm.
Just pass that along.
So maybe I'll find out if we even, I don't know why we would even have to have that in there. I know those 4 things are listed as the goals or the purposes of the tree board, but yeah, I agree with you that the first and the second seem like the things that we all are most interested in spending our time on.
But on the allocation, the tree inventory is the elephant in the room. We've got 900 hours allocated for that.
Yeah.
Now that's not necessarily tree board time, so I'm not sure where the 900 hours comes from.
Yeah.
We will take 900 hours of tree board time. So, but
Yeah. Dick,
if that's actually advising the
Sorry.
council, I mean, if carrying out the inventory is actually advising the council, which is another question, I guess.
I think these 4 categories and the proportion of time should be a reflection of what our anticipated budgeted time is going to be. And it should be simply calculated by adding up the estimated time on all of these and proportioning them into those 4 categories.
Mhm.
And rather than having that drive what our time investment would be in these categories.
Right.
That just provides then some summary to anybody who wants to look and see where our investment of time is budgeted for the coming year. And then that huge number of hours for the tree inventory, I think that was a leftover from, I've forgotten his name already, who was our board member who was spearheading this and planning for that to be done basically by board members and interns. And so that's why he had put all the hours into there, but it will likely be relatively fewer hours.
Was that Gordon that had proposed?
Yeah.
It
Right.
was going- Yes,
Okay, so we'll just ignore those percentages for now and just figure out from what we decide to do on these tasks, what percentages they end up adding up to, if that's okay with everyone.
And I guess the next question would be, is this the percentage of the tree board's time? And does the tree board include Ashley? Because Ashley works more hours on the tree board than on this stuff that all the rest of us put together, I think.
Mhm.
So,
I think it would include staff time as well.
Okay,
and one more thing, at the very top, it's the tree board plan for 2022.
yeah. Does this say, I've got to move you guys. Yeah, we're just using 2021 as a template, I guess. So the first item, the first area of public outreach and education about trees, the first one on reviewing the web content, I haven't had time to do. I don't know if Dick's taken a look at it, but
Well, this has been on the work plan for a long time, and
yeah,
it was initially we had, and we're working on revisions to the tree code recommended to the council, and we sort of put this on hold so that once those recommendations were acted on, we could then go to the web and make sure that everything was up to date with the changes in the code.
oh, right,
And that hasn't happened, as
yeah,
someone had mentioned, Julian, I think, or someone had mentioned earlier, we put a lot of effort into that. We gave recommendations to the council, and there hasn't been any further action on it. There are some things that could be, revised and looked at regardless of that, but that's, I think, why I had sort of set that aside.
okay.
Yeah.
So maybe we can we, yeah, that could be later in the winter or in the spring, in hopes that we can poke the council to take action on those in January or February. So maybe, like, should I move that to March?
Does the
This year,
council
it's
have
in
to-
May.
does the council have to approve changes to the LFP website?
Oh, no, I mean, after they move on the changes to the tree code,
Oh,
then, like Dick was saying, then we'd incorporate those into the website.
right, but there's other stuff on the website that we might want to take a look at.
Right, right.
There is like there's some stuff that's out of date, let's say.
I think leaving it for May is fine. If we can
Okay.
have, everything done by spring, that would be great.
Okay.
I'd like to
Um,
work on that too, so if you add my
Oh,
name. to it.
good. Doug, okay, and I'd like to take my name off. And not putting you on this, not trying to put you on the spot, Marty, but do I remember you saying you were interested in working on that? Or am I
I'd
just
be
remembering wrong?
willing to help with that.
Okay. Okay, so Dick, Doug, and Marty would take a look at that in the spring. Okay.
Yep.
And should we keep the estimate at 6 hours?
It's probably going to take more than that if 3 of us are involved.
Yeah, what do you guys want to throw out there?
I'd say double that, maybe as a rough estimate.
Okay. I mean, I don't know if anyone holds us
No,
to these, but it's probably helpful the next year to see if it did indeed take that much time. Okay. The next thing was developing content for printed and electronic public education. And that was me and Dick. And so we've we've written some articles for the newsletter, but I'd propose that we add to that the word procedure, like developing procedures and content, because something I've been talking about, I was talking about with Ashley and with Bryn too, is the need for more education, maybe for several groups, like new homeowners when they move in, realtors when they sell a house, to make sure that they don't say to the potential buyer, like, oh, you could cut down all those trees and have a great view of the lake or whatever. And then also tree companies. I know Ashley had told me that, or she told all of us, I can't remember, there was a tree removed recently where it was a new homeowner who didn't know the rules, and the tree company didn't, I don't remember the story, didn't get a permit or something, so they're getting fined. But she was explaining to me that by the time she gets a permit application, people have pretty much made up their mind. And so it made me think we really need to get in with education sooner, instead of trying to change people's minds about removing a tree or counseling them on how to do something else. Sorry, I'm very tired tonight too, so I'm not speaking succinctly. But I thought we could add to on that work item procedure, coming up with a plan for how do we contact these different groups and reach out with education or information to them to make sure they know what a tree code is. So I would.
Can I bring up something here?
Sorry, what was that?
This is Julia.
Yeah.
When I was first on the board, one of the projects that we looked at but never followed through on was figuring out how to get real estate agents to be upfront with their clients about and educate them when they were purchasing a property about what the restrictions are. And we sort of couldn't figure out how to do it because the real estate agents come from all over the place.
Right.
I think they don't need to have a license in Lake Forest Park. So we can't reach them, through requiring something with a business license. We can do that now we are doing that now with at least the revisions to the tree code would say that contractors who engage in arboreal care have to have looked at the requirements for Lake Forest Park every year when they renew their permits.
Oh,
and
okay.
I don't know how you would get to the real estate agents, but it has always seemed to me that would be the most effective way to see that new homeowners come in with their eyes wide open. I think the case you were referring to were some people who bought a house, took down 2 big trees. They had been assured they lived in Shoreline. They didn't. They were in Lake Forest Park. They were going to be hit up for $22,000, I think, something like that. And the hearing examiner cut it way back to, I think, $1,000 a tree, because they honestly didn't know and they'd sort of been deceived. So I think that going through the real estate agents is something, and we did pursue it, and then as a group, we just let it drop, unfortunately. But I think the agents are the way to go. I don't know how to do it, but
yeah. Well, and we don't need to figure it out right now, but I liked the idea of, I would be interested in taking that on because it seems like I agree with you. It's important to get in at that point. So I would add, Dick, you were on that item with me when it was just talking, we were just thinking about it in terms of the newsletter.
I'll stay with it, but I don't
Okay,
think I don't think you need to change the wording of that at all. I mean, what you described wanting to do certainly falls under developing content for printed and electronic public education.
Yeah. Okay. And Bryn, you were interested maybe in doing this with me and Dick, weren't you?
Yes.
I'm recruiting
so.
here. Okay.
Yeah,
I know
please
you-
add my name in there.
Yeah, you're good at this stuff. So how,
I don't know about that, but yeah, I think that would be that'd be very useful. I don't know if real estate agents is the way to go, but as Richard has said, as Dick has said, that we can discuss that amongst ourselves. You know, who knows, there might be some other way to get that word out, but
yeah,
yeah, people
Okay.
have to be aware before they move in, what the
Yeah.
deal is. Yeah.
so Dick and Bryn, how many hours should we ballpark for that per month?
More than 2 to 3 hours per month.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Um,
maybe 6.
yeah,
That's fine.
okay. Okay, and the next
Question
thing
about
was,
that, the situation we were discussing,
Sorry.
if a arborist cuts down trees illegally, can't they be denied the renewal of their permit or something like that? I mean, it seems like that's kind of a condition of the permit, is just they obey the laws of the city.
yeah, Ashley or Cameron, can you answer to that?
I'm not aware of us being able to not issue them another. I mean, perhaps we could, I don't know. I know that we can fine them if they cut a tree down illegally. We can do code enforcement on both the homeowner and the tree company. But in our tree code anyway, it doesn't have anything about taking away their business license. But I in some other code, there may be something.
Just a question.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the other thing is about real estate agents. It's not quite as unreasonable as it sounds, because there's a few real estate agents sort of specialize in Lake Forest Park.
Mhm.
And, I keep seeing the same names on these, Alessandra. and everything.
Yeah, yeah,
You could probably get most of the homes in Lake Forest Park with half a dozen agents. And then there'd
yeah,
be a fair number that are by somebody else, from somebody who's based somewhere else and just saw a house up here. But you could do an awful lot of it just by making sure that the ones we see all the time are telling their clients the truth.
yeah. In fact, I have that list because my husband and I just made an offer on a house this weekend.
Oh,
And yeah, in Lake Forest Park down by Brookside, we were beat out. There were 6 offers. It went for like $50,000 over the value. But anyway, the agent who we use, Kim Thomas, is the one whose name you see all over. And when she did an appraisal of our house, she gave us a chart that lists the number of sales in Lake Forest Park, like of the top 8 agents. So I've got that. And I almost
thought about that, Margaret. My son
What's
put
that?
an offer about a year ago on a house, and there were 40 competing offers on that one.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. We were bummed. So side note, if any of you have or know someone who has a small house in Lake Forest Park, we want to downsize. So give people my name. Okay, so the next thing was the Ivy Out contest. And that was Cameron and Julia were on that. And Julia, I know you've said you didn't have time to take that on this year. And even though it's important, since I really think we, just in my 1 year of experience on this board, I think maybe we're over ambitious. I wonder if we should just take that off the list for a year, unless there's someone who wants to take that on. What do you guys think?
Good idea.
I think it needs to be reconsidered how we go about it.
Yeah, can we just kind of keep it in memory or in record that it's something we should do, and we can potentially put it back on our work list for the next year?
Yeah, under duration, put it on hold.
Yeah,
How's
okay,
that?
that's a good idea. On hold. Okay. The next thing was hosting an annual Arbor Day activity. And so that was this year I did that champion tree contest that I promoted to students, which didn't have a very big turnout, but it was fun for the ones who entered. So I'm happy to do that again next year. Is there anyone who'd like to be on that task with me about coming up with an Arbor Day activity for next spring? Bryn?
You can put my name on there.
Okay. So Bryn and Ashley.
In the past, we've done some tree planting, some public tree plantings, as I
Oh,
recall.
yeah. Yeah.
in a park or someplace and invited the public to come.
Yeah, and I had wanted to do a pruning demonstration, but with COVID, that wasn't practical. Okay, I've made a note of that. So remember, that's one of the things that we could do.
You know, probably not next year, but the year after, if we do get money from Sound Transit to plant trees.
Oh,
that would give us
yeah,
The ability to do something really fairly cool on Arbor Day.
yeah. Sorry, 1 sec, I'm writing here. Okay. But I think that I spent more than 8 hours on that. I would say more like 12. That number okay with everyone?
Sure.
Okay, working with peer advocacy and stakeholder groups. So that would be things like the Stewardship Foundation, the Parks Board, the Washington DNR Urban and Community Forestry Division.
Ashley, can you scroll up on the screen a little?
Oh, sorry. Yeah,
Not on the screen.
I was looking at my paper versions. That is, yeah, the one with her cursor pointing at it. Oh, or it was. Working with peer advocacy and stakeholder groups. So yeah, I keep thinking, you know, I don't have much experience on this board, but it seems like there are other groups kind of working to the same ends, and we could coordinate with them more. Is there anyone who'd like to work on that with me? Find like maybe coordinating with your master gardeners, Marty, or the Julian, the stewardship board. Anyone else want to do kind of seeking out those groups and finding out how we can work together?
Well, I have been working with some folks in the stewardship on the next item on there, updating tree walks.
Oh, yeah.
So whether you put me on the peer advocacy work one or not, I don't know, but
Okay.
that's de facto
Okay.
part of that.
Well, I'm happy to keep my name on that, and then you and I can just kind of coordinate those two things. I mean, make sure that if I talk to a group, I'll check in with you first and see if you've already worked with them, I guess. Okay. And then under tree planting and maintenance events, the first item is working with the city's volunteer coordinator and the arborist to hold tree planting and maintenance events. And I'm looking for areas to prioritize for replacement tree plantings. So this could include like street trees, trees in parks. Tim Hone had said that he had talked with Ashley at one point about rain garden plantings as an idea on streets that have those drainage ditches instead of sidewalks, and including trees in those. Yeah, I don't know if I have the time to be on that, or I would do it if other folks are interested in looking into it too, but I can't take that on all myself. Is there anyone who's interested in that topic of tree planting and maintenance events and identifying places to replace?
Tim was really good at that, and it's, you know, that's a
Yeah.
big loss with him leaving, because no one else seemed to really gravitate towards that. Although I think Julia helped him with some of the tree planting up by the Horizon View. But Tim did those tree plantings that we did with the neighborhood over by Sheridan Heights or Sheridan Beach or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Those sorts of things I think are great. But it's not my bailiwick, I don't think, to be involved.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's besides the invasive plant management, that's the only thing we have in that category for tree planting and maintenance. But maybe that needs to be something that we say is on hold for this year.
Well, except that that's where the tree fund money can be used to buy trees to plant and things like that. I think it's a really has been a critical part of the tree board's work.
Yeah. I just don't want to do it all by myself.
I understand.
Is that something you, Ashley, that I mean, you already have more work than can fill your hours, but
if each of us were to try to sort of just do visual survey of our own neighborhoods or areas in Lake Forest Park, looking for places where we think tree plantings could be, and maybe we could compile a list of things and then of places, and then perhaps we could recruit Ashley to find out whether any of those places are realistic. I mean, because sometimes roadside right-of-ways are not suitable, even though they look like they might be good places.
Mhm. Maybe this is something we should, maybe if I keep it on there and I just keep fall and write everyone, and after the tree inventory is done, then we can look at areas that have the most need and talk about it then and see if we can work on it as a group. Does that sound okay?
That makes, Margaret, that makes sense to me. I was also going to add that this overlaps with some of the other activities that we do, like Arbor Day, if we do a planting.
Yeah.
Then, so
Yeah.
it
Okay.
overlaps other categories.
Okay. So I'm just gonna say fall and everyone. The invasive plant management. Julia, are you willing to stay on with that task? And it says here it only takes 8 hours. If you're responding, you're muted. Otherwise, maybe you've deserted us because it's overwhelming.
Okay, no, I did desert you momentarily because there's a phone call I had to make. I don't want to do that. Sorry. I
Okay,
just-
no,
I've
you've
got
done some.
I've got so much time invested in this other thing that I don't want to. Okay,
Yeah, I mean, we're all volunteers. You don't have to do something you don't want to do.
okay, thanks.
I mean, to me, that kind of seemed invasive plant management, that kind of your project is doing that. So,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Well, if we just include that project under this heading, because where else does it fall out? on?
Yeah, that's
Sure.
what I was thinking.
So-
Is
so-
it somewhere on the list, somewhere else on the list, Julia?
I don't believe so.
Yeah, so
Okay.
let's just call this that. And leave Julia.
What, are you willing to continue working on your project that you have been working on McAleer Creek?
Well, yeah.
Okay,
If
okay,
I
well,
do
that's,
it, it does.
yeah,
Got
that's
40
what I was,
to
that's,
work with.
that's what I was interpreting this as. So I thought you didn't want to work on that anymore.
No, I'm gonna finish that up. And because I started it and I need to finish it. And so that's what I'm doing until
Okay.
December 22,
Okay.
when the grant, Okay.
Yeah,
let's call that
that's
this.
fantastic.
So what?
What's
You
that?
want to just reword that and say, McAleer Creek project? And put a whole bunch
Yeah,
more
of
hours in there?
course. Unless there is anyone else interested in tackling some other aspect of invasive plant management? I can't see you all at once, so I can't see if someone's jumping up and down, waving their hand. No. Okay, so let's just change that wording to the McAleer Creek project, or whatever it's officially called.
restoration, riparian restoration.
Restoration, okay. Is that okay with everyone? Okay,
And you can put down 40 hours. Not in 22, but altogether, that's probably what I've put into it. Or will
okay.
have.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
And then under advising the mayor and the council on citywide tree studies and tree fund spending priorities. So the first thing was making recommendations to the council on the findings and review of the canopy study. I'm embarrassed to ask this, but can you experienced folks remind me again the difference between the canopy study and the tree inventory that we're about to do?
Yeah, the canopy study is a LiDAR. You know what LiDAR is?
It's like radar, like mapping.
Yeah. And actually, it's a LiDAR thing from somebody flying over it and saying, where are there trees? Where aren't there trees? The tree inventory is going around on the ground and saying, yeah, there's a Doug fir here that's 17.4 inches in diameter. So it's tree inventory is very A, plot based, and B, individual tree based. The tree canopy study is from flyovers. And it just, it just covers the whole town.
And does the canopy study happen regularly? Or has it only happened once or something? What's the
I
history?
think it happens every 5 years. And the idea behind it is to compare change over time. That
Right,
is my understanding. I think Mike Woodbury did it first. And that was maybe about 10 years ago or more. And then when I was first on the board, we spent a lot of time working on it, and we got maps and lots of different information, and found out that the best we could determine, the canopy had actually increased by about 2%. And I think the idea is that the way to keep track of the trends in the canopy is to do these periodic evaluations.
so the last one was about 5 years ago, is that what you guys said?
No, my
No.
understanding is the last one was
Oh,
done a year or two ago. And
Okay,
it just had never been written up. Ashley, do you have insight on that?
So yes, it was done, I think 2 years ago. And Steve, I asked him about it today and he said there was a final report that was completed. So I'm gonna try and find that. I don't know that I've actually seen it yet, but I will see if I can get my hands on it.
Okay. You can put me on that thing, and I'll work with you, Ashley, in trying to make it. That's one of the things that comes out of that is we had this map of the town that shows the canopy coverage in essentially for every lot.
yeah,
Which is
I've
totally
seen
out of date. It's totally wrong.
Oh. Huh.
I mean, it's based on either the previous one or the one before that. But it shows my neighbor has lots of trees and I don't, and that's the reverse of true.
Oh,
Uh,
okay,
I don't know if that was in the report or if that's something that has to be done from the report or what. Actually, again, maybe when you find the report.
We can, yeah,
Send it
well,
to me.
I'll find the report, send it to you, and then we can see where to go from there.
okay. So what month or timeline should we put on that as a goal to? Should that be before the tree inventory starts? Or does it matter? Or should it be after that? Because you'll be too busy, Ashley.
I think we could do it before.
Should we just keep it on April?
Yeah, let's just keep it for April.
Okay. Is that okay with you, Doug?
Is it just a matter of finding that study, Ashley, and making it available to the council? Or in summary form or some way or another? Because I'm sure that council would like to see that. I've been hoping
Yeah.
to see it for a long time.
I'm not 100% sure because I wasn't here when this line item was developed. So I don't know what the intent was. But I think once I see the report, then I'll be able to answer your question.
Yeah.
Whether or not we need to interpret it and kind of summarize it or anything like that. But
Yeah, I mean, this item is saying make recommendations based on it, so.
yeah, so not, without reading the report and not knowing what it says, it's hard for me to say for sure.
Mark, my understanding is that, and it's, I've only been on the tree board for a year and a half, but I think this is one of the things that Gordon Smith was going to do.
Mhm,
And it was one of the things that Gordon Smith never got around to.
mhm,
There was a number of things like that, I'm afraid.
yeah,
Because he was right in his area of expertise, but he just had too much else going on.
mhm.
So
Okay, so what estimate of hours do you guys want to throw at that?
I would say just leave it at 10 hours if that's what was estimated.
Okay. Is that okay with you, Doug?
yep.
Okay. And then the next, can you scroll down, Ashley, please? We'll try and whip through these things. Develop proposal for and start work on the tree inventory study. So it sounds like now you've taken that, the proposal and starting is on just your plate now, Ashley, right?
Mhm.
But Doug and Dick, were you the two who said you were interested in carrying it on from there once she can use tree board volunteers as assistants or working on it?
Well, Doug and Gordon were the ones who were most interested in that. And I was going to sort of tag along to help out with looking at plots and stuff just because I was interested. I don't really have the
Yeah.
expertise in this sort of field, but I'd be happy to keep my name on it and maybe learn something from Doug in the process.
Okay, is that, I just announced your name on that, Doug. Was I remembering
That's
right?
fine,
that you're,
that's fine. That was one of the things I wanted to do. And
okay, okay, great.
I think that item is way up in the air at this point.
Yeah,
Rather than 900 hours, maybe just put TBD
Mhm.
at
yeah,
this point, because it could go one of two, several ways, and that number would vary
right.
quite a bit.
And we won't know till Ashley's proposal is decided upon.
Mhm.
Okay, so I've got Ashley, Doug, and Dick on that. Is there anyone else who is interested in them? Working with them on the tree inventory study this coming year? That float anyone else's boat? Okay. The next thing was meeting with the council and the mayor about our accomplishments. And that's me. I haven't done that yet. I need to contact the mayor and see if he actually is interested in talking to me. So whenever that happens, I would probably be reaching out to you guys to just give me a quick update on what you're doing that I should report to him. The next thing was review intern tree removal replacement data project. Report findings and make recommendations to council. And that has Cameron's name by it. Cameron, can you remind me and explain to the new members, what was this project? Intern tree removal replacement data project?
I think, to be honest, I'm not sure. I think that was a project that Lauren had undertook.
Yeah.
Probably with regards to the tree inventory. I on the draft work plan, any place that had Lauren's name, I just changed it to my name.
I
Okay.
can give you a little more insight on that.
Okay.
Okay.
So, yeah, because Cameron wasn't here when that took place. Lauren was the one that was kind of heading that up, though, so I don't know all the details of it, but we hired 2 interns to come in and look at basically analyze our tree removal applications and determine, I think they looked at, what kind of trees were being removed and then what the replacement requirement was and whether or not they had replaced them. And so there were 2 different reports that were created based on that information.
Wow,
Could I interject?
Yeah, who was that? I couldn't
That
see.
was,
I can't.
that was Julian.
Oh, yeah.
I was involved in that project, and it was actually the Stewardship Foundation who hired those interns from UW Bothell.
Oh,
And we produced those reports with that the interns wrote. And there was some concern, particularly in the first report, about the correctness of the growth projections that are in the table that's used when you say this tree is going to have so much canopy in 30 years. And he didn't have time to really dig in and do all the research, but what he did do made him suspicious that they were too optimistic.
oh, wow.
Those reports are available. I don't know how much you want to dig back into the history of that.
So, so Cameron, would you still be able to keep that on your plate? I mean, that seems really important for us to know about. And we might as well make use of the work that the Stewardship Foundation has had done.
Yeah, I could trying to think.
Cameron, maybe you and I should have a sidebar on this in the next couple days, and I can fill you in on what I know.
Okay. Yeah, I'll send you an email.
Okay.
Okay, and then maybe we can take it from there.
Yeah, I'd say right now put it as like a maybe.
Okay.
But probably it'll be something that I'll take on.
Okay. Thank you. Maybe. Okay. The next 3 things. Reviewing the community forest management plan and making recommendations, recommending amendments to the tree code, and advising the council on spending categories and priorities for the tree fund. Unless someone has their heart set on being in charge of one of those, I was thinking maybe it makes more sense for us to just address those things to address each one at a certain meeting, and beforehand we can each look over those things and come up with our ideas or feedback or critique or whatever, instead of one person having to be in charge of each. And we could just kind of spread those, examining those throughout the year. How's that sound?
Well, the amendments to the tree code are sort of in progress.
Right.
Maybe not, maybe that doesn't quite fit in with the others, but and I'm not sure where.
Yeah. I guess that's.
Recommendations the council just never acted on, as far as I know. So.
Yeah, I guess that item's, it's kind of on hold. That needs to be just push the council to accept the the last time we did that. But maybe should we put that one, keep it on and just say put on hold, and then like, since that's supposed to be reviewed every year, we could just remember to put it on the next year's work plan.
And I do want you to know that I've tried to push the council a bit myself. So I brought it up several times. I think, Margaret, a note from you to the mayor and CCing that, well, maybe a note to the to Deputy Mayor Cassover and CCing the mayor.
Okay.
Just inquiring about that, the status of the council's review of those recommendations might help to nudge things along.
I'd be happy to do that. Hold, I'm just writing that down. Yeah. Recommendations.
I was wondering about that last item of the three, advising the council on spending categories. Does that need to be done?
Don't we have some leeway, like we can come up with an idea for spending and propose it?
Well, that's kind of what's happened in terms of the possibility of using tree fund money for the inventory. It's kind of, as things come up, as there's I was trying to recall too, we touched on this a little earlier in the meeting. There is a description of what that fund can be used for, and there's several items that are specifically mentioned. And then there's the third one, which is or other expenditures related to trees, or something like that, as approved by the council. So
right.
Whoever Ashley was pushing me on that a bit. She's right. I think it probably is a council function there. But I don't know that we had that tree board wants to have I don't know that priorities would be helpful. To have a little document that says these are the priorities we see for those.
Yeah.
I think as need comes up, it can be determined whether it's an appropriate expenditure for the tree fund.
Yeah.
And it may or may not, depending on what it is, require authorization from the council. I don't know, but I'm not sure I see the value in figuring all that out.
Okay.
In advance of specific needs.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of the dog wagging the tail wagging the dog.
Right.
We're not going to say how we're going to spend the money. We're going to say, this is a project we want to do. Let's spend money on it.
Right.
So I'm with Mark. Let's get rid of it.
So yeah, is anyone opposed to us just deleting that item, advise council? Okay, and thank you, Mike D. You're always good at finding exact references, posting them in the chat. Okay, so we will just take out that item.
Margaret?
Yeah, sorry.
I just wanted to go back, recommend amendments to tree code. It says 60 hours.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem like it needs to be that high anymore. I think that they were working on the recommendations over the course of the last year. So maybe reducing that number or.
Okay. Well, and if we put it on hold.
Oh, that was on hold. Okay.
Yeah, because I'm thinking if as I understood, we're supposed to look at it annually and see if we recommend any updates. So if the council hasn't even approved the last set of recommendations, then we're a year out from
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Okay, so then just the first of those three items, review the community forest management plan and make recommendations. Then just that one, I would suggest we all are on it and we just set aside a certain meeting where we have all looked over it and make our suggestions. Should we move that into the fall since we have other stuff going on in the spring, or are you guys up for keeping it as April?
I've just been, slothful and not getting back to going over this, and I just need to find time to do it. But I can do it before April, certainly.
Should we say March?
Okay.
I mean, we have a lot of stuff that says April. I don't want it all coming due in 1 month.
Yeah, well, it's for different people too that are working.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. I'm just gonna put March on it. It's just a goal, right? We don't have to.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so the next thing was delivering the annual work plan to the council. I guess that's me after we finalize this.
It's more than 5 hours. We've already spent 15 hours on it today, and we've only
Yeah.
spent 20 hours on it the previous meeting. So.
Yeah. The next thing is reviewing the tree list and reconciling discrepancies in canopy expectations per species.
That's actually what I was referencing previously, is that this is something that I had started working on a while ago. I think Tim did some work on it, and we just need to spend a little bit of time shaping it
So
up.
this is the tree list that the city gives to people who have to plant a replacement, or if they're looking for a suitable tree for their yard.
Yes.
What we recommend, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're still willing to do something with that in 2022? Okay. Anyone interested in working on that with Dick?
Yeah,
Was that Doug?
I'll work on it with him.
Great.
Kim gave us a long list before he left, and but it didn't have any of the sizes and things on it. But so we need to
Okay.
take that information out there. I guess there's a standard place to do that. You know, Dick, Ashley.
Ashley probably has the master list. We can
Yes.
make recommendations to
Okay.
go to it.
Yes.
Right, but do you know any about standardized place to say, how big does a red maple variety X get in 20 years or 30 years?
I don't know if it's standardized location to get that information.
No, I don't either.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Ashley, your name was on that too. Should I keep that on because it's about the city's tree list?
Yeah, you can keep it on. I think I'll wait.
Okay.
Maybe I can get recommendations from Doug and Dick. They can take a first look at it, and then I can, look it over and see if I have any
Yeah.
questions.
Okay. Any other tree board members interested in working on that, on the tree list with Doug and Dick? Okay. And here's another thing that says April. Do you guys want to give yourself some more time?
If we are given more time, we'll just keep putting it off. So, that seems like it's not unreasonable.
Can you advance the document, please, for me? I'm assuming there's
Oh,
more
yes.
to it.
No,
Oh,
that's the end.
that's
Yeah,
it.
we're almost
Oh.
there. We're almost there. Thank you for
I
working
thought
through
that
this
was
with me, you
it.
guys.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry this is taking so long, but I think
No,
it's gonna feel good to have it all done. We're almost there. Okay, so I've got Doug and Dick on the tree list. And you guys are in agreement that you want to keep this as April too?
Sure.
Is that okay with you, Doug?
Yep.
Okay, and 25 hours? Do you think
That's
you're gonna?
fine. If the three of us are all involved with it, it'll take that much.
Okay, okay. And then the last category is engaging the mayor and council regarding opportunities and threats if the board identifies ones that are relevant to trees in LFP. So the first thing is presenting to council the data pertinent to health and status of the forest. And that just shows Cameron. That seems like is that a Cameron and Ashley kind of thing? Or just Cameron, or should one of us be involved in that too? Or Ashley, is that just you guys, do you think?
I'm not really sure what the intent of this was.
Yeah.
Yes.
It sounds
Yeah.
kind of like it would be the content would derive into a great deal from the inventory.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of, I think,
I see.
can we just delete that item? Because it's kind of covered in
Or-
other things that we're doing.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so.
Does anyone object to deleting that item?
Well,
Okay.
maybe we should be sure that wherever we're talking about that inventory, that it has the word summarized for council or something.
Yeah, okay,
So the stuff doesn't get done somewhere in the city, important stuff that
right.
needs to be made more public. But I forget where that was.
Council on everything. Sorry, guys, I'm just writing here. Every task, okay. Okay, so we'll add report or summarize to council for every relevant project and take it out, not have it here as its own separate item.
Yeah, that's another way to do it. Yeah, there's other things come under that category, like the canopy study itself that was done 2 years ago.
Yeah, okay. Delivering an annual report to the council, include analysis of tree permit data. Cameron, that's got your name on it too. And we don't have a vice chair. So is that supposed to be me, I guess?
I would assume so, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Anyone else want to work on that annual report? Analysis of tree permit data. That sounds like it sounds like that intern study. So maybe I can coordinate with Cameron and Julian on what the results are.
I think in this instance, it would be pertinent to the tree permit data for the previous year, the year that I'd be reporting on.
Okay.
If you two show me what to do, because I've never done anything like that, I would be happy to help with that.
Yay. Okay, thanks, Bryn. Yeah, I don't know what to do either, so we can learn, we can figure it out together.
Whoever will-
Ashley and Cameron, the reports we get every month from you, from you guys usually contain an awful lot of stuff that's sort of in process. Is there, by the end of the year, is there a data set that has all those in processes cleaned up, sort of?
There has not been, but I would be happy to do that because yes, there's a lot of missing information.
Yeah, that seems like
You couldn't just
that's
take, you couldn't
what
just
we
take the 12 reports and do anything very useful with them. But
Right.
by the end of the year,
Mhm.
great.
need. Okay.
Put that on my list.
Monthly reports, okay. Researching and presenting plan on possible incentives for tree preservation and retention based on other municipalities. Marty, I know you were interested in that. You gave us that interesting report a couple months ago. Are you willing to have that be in your basket?
Yeah, I'll follow through on that. I want to do a little more, maybe talk to the rest of you about what that should look like, but I'm happy to continue with that.
Is anyone interested in having their name on that with Marty? Okay. Okay, and 25 hours, I have no idea. Do you want to, what number should we put on it, Marty, do you think, for
I
the,
have no idea either. I think I probably spent 4 or 5 hours doing that initial research, so
yeah,
maybe make it 15 hours,
okay, well, actually,
or were you thinking more?
I think this is by, oh, this is per month.
Oh, 25 hours a month? No.
But no, I think some of these things have been per month and some are over the course of the project. So how many hours would you want to spend per month, would you guesstimate?
Why don't we say 5 hours a month?
Okay,
I don't think it'll take that much, but who knows? I mean,
yeah. Well, and it's just like I was saying, I think it might be good for it, since I'm new at this, at least it would be good for us next year to look back and say like, oh no, that was way off. So if we
Yeah.
do it again, Okay. So we've got Marty on that. The next last thing is reviewing the comprehensive plan for tree related goals, but I get confused about comprehensive plan versus community forest management plan. What's the comprehensive plan?
The comprehensive plan, from my understanding, it's the city's overall like planning document that guides development within the city over a period of, I think usually it's like a 10-year period or 20-year period.
Okay,
But it basically outlines the specific goals of the city with regards to development. I think there's also like other specific subsets, like what the city wants to achieve in terms of its environmental goals and other goals. The other document the community forest management plan?
I think I'm just mixing them up because they both start with C, and Mike D has found the definition of comprehensive plan. Required by the Growth Management Act, a guide for our city's physical and economic development. Use designations, policy framework, okay, the 20-year period.
But it needs
Sounds
to
like
be
a great thing to
updated more
use.
regularly than that.
Yeah,
Is it 5 years or 7 years maybe?
I think it's 5. I'm not sure
So,
what the state of Washington mandates.
well, I know that it's on our schedule for not immediately, but I think in the next maybe 2 years from now, the next time that our city will be updating its comp plan.
Okay,
Okay.
So
so it does seem like that's important for us to be looking at next year.
yeah, to be familiar
Yeah.
with and
Yeah.
yeah.
I think this is a great one for what you suggested for one of the other things. Let's devote a meeting to it sometime. We'll all read
Yeah,
it ahead of
okay.
time and then talk about it.
Yeah. Anyone opposed to that idea?
Hmm.
So maybe we can put that more towards the end of the year when some of the things like the tree inventory and all those April projects are done. Is that okay if maybe we put that on like next October or November's agenda and we'll plan ahead to look through it? Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna put all and I'll say November for the heck of it. And Mark, what's the council, I assume you would know about this, what's the council strategic plan?
Well, it's a list of came out of a council retreat that was done 4 years ago. Something on that order. And so it's strategic directions for the city. Don't ask me to name them off the top of my head, but they're good government and stuff like that.
So how,
I don't think it's the big five, Mike, is it? There was some other stuff in there about open open government and
I'll check just a minute.
yeah, we should
How-
do it.
so
But
how-
anyway, it's going to be updated. The council is going to go through another process of re-articulating strategic direction. And it's going to happen, probably, I would guess it's going to happen early in the year.
Okay. So should we get our 2 cents in before that? Or do you guys put together a draft and then we could say, oh, we wish you would add this, or please don't add that?
Well, the meeting itself was public, of course, and there was comment from the public as ideas were being discussed. But it might be, Margaret, another good thing for you to talk to Philippa Cassover about.
Okay,
You can easily send her a note, and she should be happy to answer you about that.
okay.
When does she feel that that next strategic planning process would be happening? And how would be the best way for tree board to have input into that?
Okay. Okay, well then, with that suggestion, I would be happy to put my name on it, but as the initial kind of, as the instigator, and then maybe I'll call on any of you to advise, if that's okay. Sorry, I'm jotting down here again. Okay. Okay, and I'm sorry, you guys, it's 1 minute before 9, but I think we got through it. Thank you.
Great job.
And we still have Ashley's front lines. Can you guys stay for a few more minutes to just hear Ashley's report? Is that okay? I guess if anyone has to go, oh, I see Dick has a comment.
No,
He's
that's,
just
I'm
waving.
just clapping. Thank you
Oh,
for
okay.
getting through this.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, Ashley, do you want to, if anyone has to go, I understand, and you can read our minutes eventually, but if you can stay, we're almost done.
Yeah, the only thing I wanted to go over was the October 2021 tree permits that I sent out to you guys. We got a lot of tree permits. There was kind of a lull in like August, September, which was a little unexpected, but welcome. But October, we ramped back up and got a lot of permit applications in. And as you can imagine, after the storm that happened 2 weekends ago, so last week I was really busy with a lot of inquiries and questions about emergency tree removal and submittals so people are really looking at their trees and are, concerned about some. So, but most of these are still in process. You can see that the ones that are approved are mostly minor. So I was actually today I was able to get 4 of these out and approved. But let's see. The most notable one, I guess, is this Johnson major.
Can you share your screen, Ashley? Sorry to interrupt.
I'm so sorry. I thought
That's okay.
Let me.
I know I've got it on my computer. I just don't have it pulled up.
Sorry about that.
What? While you find it, can I ask a question there?
Yes. Can you see it now?
Yeah, man, there are a lot. I was wondering, because it's on my radar so much after Dick's great article in the newsletter about the the effects of the heat dome, the heat waves we had. It just made me curious about how many of these, like all these trees that say hazard, or the ones where you haven't found out the reason yet. I'm wondering if there are a lot of people who see those, dead branches from the heat wave and they think their tree is dead or diseased and they're actually going to be okay.
I don't know for sure. It doesn't seem like that's the case yet, at least from just conversations I'm having with people.
Okay.
Yeah, the ones that I listed as hazard, they've, like, in our conversation, they've already given me either photographs or confirmation or just explained more about what the situation is. So I feel comfortable saying it's a hazard. And so a lot of them are blank because I haven't reviewed it. I haven't seen it. I don't know. It could be that it's hazardous, but they haven't really expressed that to me. So yeah, that's just, I just wanted to make sure that I got that in here and filled it in as much as I could. But like I said, I haven't reviewed a lot of these. So,
okay.
But just touching back on this one, Johnson, this is for a new single family development at this address. And so that just came in on last Friday when I wasn't here. So I haven't looked at it at all, but he's proposing to remove 12 significant trees. So that would be the largest one. And then we do have something in our code that says that if they're proposing to remove 5 or more trees on the property and more than 50% of the canopy, then there's an extra level of notice that we have to give. So it's not just your typical, like, put a sign out in front of your property notice. So we have to submit it to the Seattle Times and post notice and just do something a little more extensive. So that may or may not be the case for this one, but just to let you guys know. And then I'm just trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to. I think that's all I have to report. I wish I had more information for you, but I'm just trying to play catch up right now. So if you guys have any specific questions, I'd be happy to ask or answer them.
I really appreciate you putting the reasons in when you know them. That really is, I
Yeah.
find helpful. Yeah.
Mhm.
Sorry, Bryn, I interrupted you.
That's all right. That's all right. Ashley, I'm curious. This one down below on 53rd, Bennett, the black cottonwood, is that the same gentleman who came to the farmer's market who was talking to you about his cottonwood that was up on a hill?
I
And
don't know.
you don't know? Okay.
Mm-mm.
I wonder if it is.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think I'm remembering now that you mentioned it. Yeah, he had a tree that he was concerned about.
He had a tree that he had supposedly asked tree
Yeah,
removal, and
right.
they claimed they couldn't remove these these limbs for some reason. I'm not quite sure
But
what
it was
that
too
was all
dangerous
about.
or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm not sure if this is the guy or not.
Man, you've got your work cut out for you.
Mhm.
Okay, anyone have any questions for Ashley about the report?
Just out of curiosity, Ashley, why are there so many of these applications that don't have a species of the tree listed? Do the homeowners just not even know what the tree is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah, and you know, I'm trying to think, I don't think our application has species, like it doesn't ask what kind of tree it is. It just says the number of trees, like it's a landmark or it's a significant
Size,
tree.
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
unless it's changed in the last couple of years, it doesn't ask, so.
yeah, so I don't think, you know, a lot of the applications come in and, you know, I don't even talk to the person when they come in. So a lot of the tree ID doesn't happen until I go out into the field.
Uh-huh.
With minor permits, I don't go out into the field. I don't look at those trees. So I, you know, if I'm at the counter and I'm able to gather the information about what kinds of trees they are, then I will report that. But, you know, like you said, sometimes they don't know what kind of tree it is.
Yeah.
Anyone else have questions for Ashley? Okay. I wanted to add just a couple quick things. First of all, I saw that the Lake Forest Park Stewardship Committee's annual meeting is on the 16th on Zoom. And they're having two speakers from the Northwest Center for Alternatives to Pesticides. So it sounded interesting. And then also there was an urban tree canopy workshop that was put on by the Nature Conservancy's Seattle office that we got, I think Ashley or Cameron had sent us out a link to, and I signed up. It sounded super interesting. Unfortunately, I ended up having to take my son to the doctor, so I missed it. But I did get they had a document that maybe you guys have already seen, but it's a tree list that I will give to, I'll forward on to Doug and Dick, where it's a tree list for Seattle area trees and their adaptability and vulnerability to climate change. So each one is rated. It was very interesting. And so I thought that might be helpful to incorporate in your work on the city's tree list. So anyway, anyone else have any news or items you want to throw out there?
I move we adjourn.
What's that?
I move we adjourn.
Okay, thank you.
Second.
It's time for ice cream and TV. Okay, and agenda for next meeting, I think we mentioned a few things. If anyone has any other items, can we just say email them to Cameron or to me? If items come up that you want on the agenda. And okay, thank you all for being patient. I'm sorry this took a long time, but we got it done.
Yeah.
Okay.
How do
See you
you?
guys next time.
Okay, thank you all. Good night.
Thank you. Good
Thanks,
night.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.